House Speaker Johnson responded to Biden's flip-flop. He said, quote, "The president is cowering to his base and showing deference to a man who deserves none. Biden should be apologizing to Laken's family. What an embarrassment," end quote. Joe Concha with me this morning. What do you make of Biden's flip-flop, Joe?
I'm going to read back that quote again that we just heard.
Please.
We both kind of looked at each other with disbelief, right? "I'm not going to treat any of these people with disrespect." I'll be happy to treat the killer of Laken Riley with disrespect, right? He should go to the chair, and that should be the end of him, right? He brutally murdered this girl who was out for a run, University of Georgia in Athens, and this president now is so scared of his unhinged far-left base that he is now apologizing for calling him the wrong term. Look, this is a split-screen election that we're watching right now. The way your producers put that together was perfect. As far as, here's Donald Trump's view on the whole thing, which is, if you come here illegally and you commit a crime, you will be deported. That's one choice, and I think a lot of Americans would agree with that. And the other is, let's not treat any killers of people who are here legally, like Laken Riley, with disrespect, because we don't want to be disrespectful. So this is beyond pathetic. And if I'm the Trump campaign right now, Stu, Lauren, I make this so-called interview that Joe Biden did, this T-ball interview on MSNBC, that's your campaign ad right there. That's your election right there. That's your choice right there.
Priceless material for the Republicans.
Yeah,
priceless.
Absolutely.
Anti-Israel protesters blocked the roads leading to last night's Oscars, forcing organizers to delay the ceremony just by 5 minutes. But the president also, he's changed his tune on this. And now he's openly calling for a ceasefire in Gaza. Why the change?
To quote Tim Russert, kind of, remember the 2000 election, he said it all comes down to Florida, Florida, Florida. This election comes down to Michigan, Michigan, Michigan. He cannot afford to lose the Muslim base that he has there in places like Dearborn, where they voted, more than 100,000 people voted for uncommitted instead of Joe Biden, who was basically running unopposed. If he loses Michigan, he loses the election. He knows this, and that's why suddenly he's doing this 180.
Domestic politics changed our foreign policy with our major ally.
Instead of having, core principles and just believing in something. I believe that Joe Biden was pro-Israel, staunchly, and now he shows that he has basically the backbone of a jellyfish.
Now, the president had more embarrassing gaffes over the weekend, just a couple of days after the mainstream media hyped his State of the Union performance. Watch this, roll it.
In Pennsylvania, I have a message for you. Send me to Congress, in the U.S. Capitol, the same building where our freedoms came under assault on July the 6th. We cut the deficit, and we added more to the national debt than any president in his term in all of history. I spent over almost 200 hours with the leaders of Europe, the heads of state. You know what every one of them says to me, virtually except Orban? Grab my arm and they pull me aside. I'm serious. They pull me aside and say, "You've got to, he can't win again."
What? This is happening on almost a daily basis. I can barely understand it. A daily basis this is happening.
Hourly basis it's at this point, yeah. Look, he also said in that MSNBC interview that illegal immigrants built this country. Literally, that's a quote. No, I'm pretty sure they didn't. Look, that's another campaign ad right there that we just showed, right? And the media, after the State of the Union, thought this was the greatest State of the Union that they ever saw, right? And then you see a CNN poll that came out today that this was the worst received State of the Union address in 25 years, according to their polling. Right?
To a CNN poll?
Yeah.
Good Lord.
So this shows you how so many journalists are outside of the mainstream thought process as far as regular folks in swing states like Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Nevada, Georgia, Arizona, right? What Joe Biden proved during the State of the Union, Stu, and I'll leave it here, that he could read a teleprompter, and he could read it loudly. But then you take him outside of those scripted remarks, and you see what we just saw and what we just heard. And this is why I don't think his handlers are going to let him go anywhere near a debate stage versus Donald Trump. And they'll use the excuse of, well, the president's above Donald Trump, therefore he shouldn't normalize him, or something along those lines. And the media, of course, will cheer that right along.
It'd be very tough to walk away from any and all debates.
Indeed.
The public won't have that. But he'll do it. I think you're right. He'll do it.
Yeah, no question.
He won't debate. Thank you, Joe.
Great to see you in person.
Yeah, it's great to have you.
I like orange. It's my favorite color. My kids will tell you. So well done, you, Lauren.
Okay,
Appreciate it.
Nice to see you, too.
Absolutely.
Next.